Okay, good morning. I've made a radical discovery. In one of my videos the other day, I said, sort of out of context, I was like, I'm seeing a painting because I was transmitting a message, but the imagery kept moving.
Turn right,
and
then turn left.
Then I realized that last time Pluto was in Aquarius was up until the year 1798. And it was the American Revolution, but then the French Revolution fell after that. So there is a correlation with what I've been talking about between that piece of very random information that I was channeled, that was given, with Napoleon crossing the Alps. I mean, I'm going to look into it a little bit more, but I started thinking about Napoleon because I saw the painting, I said it in the video, and then not one, not two, but three Napoleon related synchronicities crossed my path between the time I recorded that video and now. So I was like, okay, why did I say it? There's clearly something here. Universe is showing me. So I Googled it. I was like, when did Napoleon cross the Alps? In 1800. And Pluto in Aquarius, right? That was the last time. So I thought that was sort of mind-blowing, just because, I mean, it's interesting to be a channel and work with prophetic information, because I volunteer this stuff kind of, you know, loftily. Like, I don't know how certain things are going to play out, and I don't know where I get my information from. I mean, I do, but it's interesting to see how it plays out and where there's meaning, where I didn't think there was meaning in some of the messages. So that's the first thing that I wanted to share. But the second thing I wanted to share is basically a priming of the canvas for a topic that I'm going to be delving into a lot more. But if you haven't noticed, there's a lot of what I would consider, or what I'm going to call, Wild West programming afoot. What do I mean by that? Well, if you haven't watched the show Westworld, I highly implore you to watch the show Westworld. I lost interest like halfway through season 2. I think you can pretty much get the vibe and the gist of the show and what it's showing us within like 4 episodes or so. But Westworld, right? And if you haven't seen it, spoiler alert, but not really. The premise is that there are these basically artificially intelligent robots, humanoid beings, and they live in this land, and it is on a loop. You know, time doesn't exist. It's the Wild West, and the wealthy elite of our world, who have the money and can access this realm, they go there to engage in whatever it is that their money can buy them. And what we find it is that the people want to do is kill other people like it's a video game, like it's VR, because these beings aren't real, but they have sex with them and do whatever they want, right? It's sort of like the hubris of man having whatever they want, building cities to be able to go play in and destroy things and have their way. But it's interesting that that show is showing us that the place that people would want to go play around in, a lawless land, looks like the Wild West, okay? So carrying that through, Beyonce is, I believe, still on her Renaissance tour. I've talked about it a little bit in the past, but certain weird articles have come out over time where it's like people reporting depression after seeing Beyonce. I'm not really saying anything about that at this time, but if you Google anything about Renaissance tour or the album, and the album cover is her sitting on this like glass horse. It's a lovely image. She looks amazing, of course. And the horse imagery is also featured in clips of the beginning of the Renaissance tour on stage, where there's pretty alarming, disturbing sequence of visuals that she's flashing before people's eyes. And keep in mind, people don't go to a concert, and I mean, in most cases, people are using mind-altering substances to enjoy their concert-going experience. So that affects people's energies. It drops them into a certain frequency that makes them susceptible to other frequencies and all that. But anyway, there's, you know, her opening visuals, it literally flashes the words mind control, and there's the American flag rippling, and it's made out of red, white, and blue pills, like pharmaceutical pills. There's like a black and white spiral, like hypnosis, swirling on the screen, and then the horse is trotting. So that horse imagery is shown to us again by Beyonce. But I'm almost ready to unleash all of the Barbie commentary that I've been sitting on for like months now. I'm almost ready. And so I'm putting this video out there as context for that a little bit more as well, because what you will see, or what you saw if you did watch Barbie, and I'm going to talk about it more. So if you did not watch Barbie, you do not have to in order to listen to my critical commentary of the film, because I'm going to do a lot to explain what is happening in the film and what my, thoughts are at any given point. But basically, spoiler alert for this too. I guess I'll just say that out of caution and respect. Ken comes to the real world out of Barbie land and is like, oh, patriarchy, and then we've got this montage of like, what's his name? Sylvester Stallone in like a, floor length fur jacket and like horses running and like dollar bills and like men at the gym, and they're chanting like men, men, men. And the horse in biblical passages represents, it's a symbol of freedom and power, but it's also a masculine symbol of unbridled ego. And this is why we hear things around like you have to break a horse. Very interesting. So it's sort of like Ken realizing that the unbridled male ego is what rules the real world. And so when he goes back to Barbie land and influences the Barbie society with patriarchy, there's just horse stuff everywhere. The most interesting thing for me when I watch any film, and by the way, it took them 14 years to make that movie. 14 years. What were we doing when they started making Barbie, right? I'll go back in time and think about that. It was 2010. That means it was 2010 when they started making Barbie. And people are like, oh, you're reading into this way too much. They didn't intentionally release that movie during Venus retrograde, during Leo season. They didn't do that. Why does that matter? Well, they had all the time in the world to decide when it was they did want to release it. So I'll get into that more. But I like looking at, we've got the foreground in the movie, two characters talking, but you have a whole scene, right? You have the background, you've got characters moving in the back. So I'm thinking of one scene in particular. It's middle to the end of the movie, and there's just a flat screen in the back showing a horse trotting while Ken is talking. It's just interesting because for a fact that every single square millimeter of that screen and what they chose to focus on at any given point in the movie is there for a reason. Read between the lines. So, I think that there's been a celebration for a few years in certain spheres that a lot of drip down subliminal programming comes from, around the fact that we have successfully tipped America into the Wild West. It's a lawless land, and I believe that if you didn't watch my 2024 forecast reading, you should go watch it, because talking about some of the shifts that are going to start happening, like, I believe that the timeline shift has to either do with falling more and more into a version of that, or, starting to deviate. So those are my morning thoughts. What else? Did I have anything else? I've been getting a lot of channeled songs and music lately, but I'm not going to go into that. So yeah, mostly just the Napoleon thing and the stuff about the wild, wild West. And I hope everybody's doing well today. I certainly feel like a little bit of, relief in the energies after yesterday. I think like there was a bit of a dam that broke. And I had one of the best sleeps that I've had in weeks last night. So I hope you can say the same and have a great day.